it will be an important night on Capitol Hill. The House Committee on Veterans Affairs will listen to testimony from key witnesses that say VA officials covered up wrongdoing at hospitals across the nation and threatened anyone who tried to expose them. According to Politico, the Department of Veterans Affairs would force whistleblowers into administrative leave if they raised any concerns over the quality of health care at VA facilities. One of the witnesses expected to testify tonight before the Veteran Affairs Committee and Chairman Jeff Miller is a 16-year employee who worked at the Phoenix VA hospital that was at the heart of the VA scandal. The House Committee will also hear testimony from the head of the Office of the Special Counsel, Carolyn Lerner. Tonight's hearing comes as the VA attempts to recover from the controversy that toppled former Secretary Eric Shinseki. President Obama since has nominated former Procter & Gamble CEO Bob McDonald to take the lead over at the VA.
And President Obama caves under pressure to meet with Texas Governor Rick Perry over the immigration. The president is facing new criticisms today as he prepares for his visit to Texas tomorrow. Governor Rick Perry dismissed an earlier invitation to meet Obama at an Austin airport, but suggested the two should hold a private meeting to discuss issues at the U.S.-Mexican border. Now the two will meet for a roundtable discussion on the recent surge of illegal immigration. Later today, the Obama administration is expected to ask Congress for more than $2 billion to address the humanitarian crisis at the border.
In the meantime, even immigration reform activists are saying the Obama administration's foreign policy in Central America has failed.
It's two different issues that we are going to speak today. Number one, the failure of the president to respond to this crisis. This crisis is a failure of U.S. foreign policy in Central America and the lack of resolution to immigration crisis.
Remember, the president has also been called the deporter-in-chief by some folks who normally are on his side. Activists, these ones you see right there, gathering in Washington yesterday. They demanded that the U.S. help Central America to reduce violence and strengthen regional protection for both children and for women. And talking about that information from the Pew Research Center. It's out now with some new data, and as I mentioned, it's hard to believe that there are these political bystanders out there making up about 10% of the population. So who are these political bystanders? Well, according to Pew, they're not registered to vote, and they do not follow government or political affairs most of the time. They are young, 38% under the age of 30, nearly a third Hispanic. 29% are not U.S. citizens. They're not interested in politics, but they are interested in celebrities and entertainment. 64% of the respondents said that is their favorite topic. Also, 35% said that they like to play video games on their computer or other gaming system. Now, this is only 10% of the population here, but Francesca, here in the United States, only about 30% of the population actually votes. So are we in trouble? Do you think these numbers spell real trouble for this country?
I think this is something that we've all seen coming for a long time, just with the craze of celebrities and the craze of networks popping up that focus on this as opposed to the news networks that are informing young people. And I hope that it's a trend that can be counteracted, because at the end of the day, these are the generations that matter. These are the generations that we want to vote and should make a difference.
Well, yeah, on the other hand, there is a lot of younger folks who are tuning into politics, so that's good to see. But these aspects incorporate every aspect of our lives. We look at the immigration situation. That's going to be immigration situation. There's going to be a high price tag on that to clean up the VA mess, which we talked about during this news block. An incredibly high price to clean up that mess. And the list goes on and on and on. And we often hear from folks from the baby boomer generation talking about these types of things being placed on the younger generation's credit card. This is why these young folks need to wake up.
Absolutely. Well, the question is, how are we going to get them to wake up? How are we going to get them interested again and involved again in politics?
Well, we're going to talk about that. JD's going to have a guest on here to talk about the millennial generation and their lack of work, and maybe as they continue to feel the effects of this economy. We know millennials are having a very hard time finding a job. They might want to get more involved in politics. The good Pew Research saying this is just 10% of the population, but that's still too much, I would say.
A recoverable 10%, we hope.
Hope we can get them back on board, because you know, we want them involved in the conversation. Everybody needs to participate to get a real solution.
Absolutely.
Now, there was one solution. We talked about the criticism President Obama is receiving for his foreign policy. There's one aspect of that foreign policy that almost nobody can deny was a success, and that was the raid, the kill-capture raid that winded up in the death of Osama bin Laden. I remember very well the night that it happened. I was anchoring a newscast. We got some word that there was an announcement coming from the president on a weekend, very rare, and it turns out that announcement was in fact that Special Forces SEAL Team 6 bin Laden. Here's a look back at that pivotal night during this American moment. American moment.
In the early morning hours of May 2nd, 2011, the Central Intelligence Agency launched Operation Neptune Spear and set into motion a mission to bring one of the world's most notorious terrorists to justice. All indications were that Osama bin Laden was asleep as the U.S. Naval Special Warfare Development Group, known as SEAL Team 6, approached his highly secured three-story Pakistani-based compound. From entry to exit took approximately 45 minutes, with the bulk of time being used to gather up a plethora of al-Qaeda intelligence materials. When located in his living quarters on the third floor of his compound, the head of the Islamist group al-Qaeda was found using his young wife as a shield. 54-year-old terrorist was given a traditional Islamic burial at sea. 9 years, 7 months, and 21 days following his infamous attack on New York's Twin Towers, killing thousands of innocent civilians, its mastermind, Osama bin Laden, was dead. You're watching An American Moment on Newsmax TV.